I will openly admit that while I was genuinely looking forward to Camp Cretaceous, I also had my skepticism for the show. I mean, it's a show targeted towards kids with a kid-only cast, which means they would have to tone down the violence in comparison to the movies. The human designs felt off in comparison to the more realistic dinosaur designs that were most likely provided by ILM in the promotion stills. Despite those concerns, I still wanted to give the show a chance, and I didn't regret it at all. Just like what I said in my winners and losers from Jurassic World Dominion's delayed video, the first season of Camp Cretaceous was surprisingly good. Now, before I go into the review, there will be spoilers, so if you haven't seen the first season and you want to watch it with as little knowledge as possible, I suggest you click away. You have been warned.
What was that?
Now, I should probably explain my concerns in regards to Camp Cretaceous being more targeted towards kids. Anyone who knows anything about the Jurassic Park franchise should know that kids have the most advanced plot armor available. If you know this, then you know that they aren't going to die, which has a tendency to create artificial tension. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to kill off any kids. I completely understand why kids don't get killed off, because it would give the movies an R rating, and I think kids deserve to enjoy Jurassic Park just as much as the adults. I still remember being a kid when The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 came out and how excited I was to see them along with buying the toys. I also don't want to blame the writers because they're merely following pre-established rules the franchise has set, which is no killing off kids. Because you have the no killing off kids rule, it's very hard to feel any genuine tension when they get into any kind of danger. Jump into a raptor paddock? That's okay. Stuck in the middle of the Mosasaur Lagoon? Nah, they'll make it out. Switch to kids with adults and at least one or two of the characters would be eaten. Another example, the quicksand scene just felt like another over-the-top ridiculous situation because you know Darius and Brooklyn were going to get out. The kids should have been dead or severely injured after falling off the zip line, but are able to just walk it off like it's nothing without suffering any kind of injuries. At least Tim Murphy got hurt and threw up after suffering from what appears to be a concussion from being pushed into a tree, and even stopped breathing after taking a shock at 10,000 volts. I understand that the franchise has moments where you have to suspend disbelief, but I think that the show has a tendency to push their luck in that area. I think in order to preserve any kind of genuine tension from here on out, any new entry to the franchise need to be mainly adult characters as their cast. It's one of the many reasons why the tension in The Lost World still remains brilliant to this day.
What? Huh?
For the vlog. Keep telling your little story.
Characters definitely start off as walking stereotypes, and some of the dialogue and interactions have the tendency to come across as cringeworthy. Fortunately, this is improved later on in the season. Darius Bowman is the most fleshed out of the characters, and I think that he and Sammy had the most established motives for being on the island. I think every dinosaur fan can relate to Darius because I would also be filled with awe and wonder seeing these majestic animals up close. Kenji is probably the funniest out of the group, and I appreciate how he later ends up being able to look at himself in the mirror and admit that he has a tendency to rub people the wrong way. Given that she's the internet star, it makes sense that Brooklyn is a clout chaser and will do anything for likes and follows. She does start to have an arc about not caring much about internet approval from the fact that they're trying to survive on an island full of dinosaurs. Ben is a scaredy cat who just wants to live and avoid getting in trouble while forming a bond with Bumpy, the adorable Ankylosaurus hatchling. Yasmina, or Yaz for short, is the athlete and most introverted of the group, who is also a great artist. Sammy is the most extroverted of the group, and starts off as a bit annoying due to her lack of respect to boundaries. Poor Yaz. The two camp counselors, Dave and Roxy, are likable as well. Despite being the stern one, Roxy is well-meaning and wants to keep the campers safe. While Dave is the more laid-back out of the two, I do appreciate how he's able to be serious when he needs to be, which redeems him after starting off as a stereotypical surfer dude who was responsible for a good portion of the cringe-worthy dialogue. Even though we only see him in 2 flashback scenes, Darius' dad, Frederick, is a good parental figure, and I do enjoy his dad puns. In the 2 scenes he's in, you can tell that he's a good dad who shares his son's love for dinosaurs. While none of the characters necessarily stand out, they're all likable and relatable in some way, shape, or form.
This is what camp's about! Who's with me?
The concept and story are well executed and properly integrated into the Jurassic Park universe, and shows us other things that happened during the Jurassic World movie. It reminds me a lot of the Siege of Mandalore for Star Wars The Clone Wars in the way it was integrated to show other events that happened during Revenge of the Sith, and how other characters such as Ahsoka Tano and Captain Rex were affected by Order 66. Camp Cretaceous is a camp that is basically having its soft opening before it opens to the public. Given that real theme parks such as Universal Studios continue to expand their parks, it would make sense for a theme park like Jurassic World to do the same thing. The first episode is basically an introduction to each of the characters. Music is beautifully implemented, especially when they play the classic Journey to the Island track from Jurassic Park when the Camp Cretaceous gates open. The zipline scene where they get to see all the dinosaurs has beautiful music as well. I really enjoyed the raptor theme playing when Darius, Kenji, and Brooklyn accidentally sneak into the raptor paddock while looking for the Compy pen. The second episode introduces us to Bumpy and Toro, the first season's main antagonists. Roxy's reaction to Darius' line that Kenji saved him was hilarious, especially with the delivery of "their farts turn the air trashy." What makes this funny is that there are people who actually think this happened. So, congratulations! You made a fart joke that's actually funny. During episode 2, Brooklyn discovers a project labeled E750. Pay attention to that because it will later show up in season 2. Kenji talking about summer vacation might create some continuity errors because Jurassic World happened in late December. Was he talking about Camp Cretaceous being summer vacation, or was he just making a general statement? I don't know. I enjoyed seeing Darius and Kenji starting to become friends after their rough start. Episode 3 is where the campers begin to learn to work together as a group, and I like that the show reminds us that the herbivores are just as dangerous as the carnivores. It reminds me of The Lost World, especially when the Stegosaurus nearly killed Sarah Harding in self-defense. The real story doesn't really kick in until the 4th episode after the Indominus Rex escapes. In a way, I do find it a bit out of character that Roxy out of the two counselors would be willing to leave 6 kids who have the tendency to get into near-death experiences alone as she and Dave try to talk to Claire about not adding Zach and Gray to the Camp Cretaceous crew. Even Dave was like, is that such a good idea? But, you know, the plot has to happen. Episode 4 is also the most emotional episode of the first season and shows us that despite the fact that we won't get the same violence and tension from Jurassic Park and The Lost World, Camp Cretaceous isn't just a dumb kids show and fleshes out Darius' motivations for wanting to go to Jurassic World. I am happy to see Bumpy get more screen time, and I thought it was hilariously convenient that out of all the times Big could stand up for himself, he picks the moment when they're trying to find help and get off the island. I honestly wish they would have stuck with the original plan to have Toro eat Eddie instead of the Indominus Rex. Especially when you factor in that Toro is currently exclusive to Camp Cretaceous and is supposed to be the main antagonist. Another thing, despite being eaten, Eddie has some importance in Season 2. Dave and Roxy's reactions to the campers calling them and explaining everything is hilarious, especially Dave's. I did enjoy the nod of the Hawaiian shirt Sammy wears that's similar to the shirt Nedry wears to show that they're both spies for rival genetics companies. One thing Camp Cretaceous gets right that I should point out is how well executed the liar reveal trope is. Normally, the trope is portrayed in a generic and cliche manner, so why does it work here? Well, 1, Sammy revealed to be the liar gives us some good world building that I will talk about later in the video. 2, and definitely the most likely reason, is that unlike the typical liar revealed, Sammy's motivations are not selfish. Instead, her motivation is to help her family who's desperate for money. Despite Sammy's motives being well-meaning, Yaz has every right to be mad at her. Put yourself in her shoes. She already has a hard time opening up to people and has strongly defended Sammy, only to be proven wrong, which causes her to question her seemingly nice behavior while feeling stupid for not believing Brooklyn. Not only that, had Sammy not taken the phone, Brooklyn could have called for help. I enjoy seeing Kenji provide some much-needed wisdom to Brooklyn as she later learns to forgive Sammy for stealing her phone. I know that while I pointed out how over-the-top the Mosasaurus scene is in the sense of danger and tension, I will give the show credit for trying to create some. There was some good music to give off tension, along with nice camera work and showing the fear expressed by the kids. I got Jaws 2 vibes when Yaz used the paddles to distract the Mosasaurus, which I'm not sure if this was intentional or purely coincidental. Either way, I like it. While the Mosasaurus doesn't eat anyone, I do give the show credit for letting Yaz get hurt. It shows that the characters aren't invincible superheroes and are actually human. Given that she's an athlete and shown to be the fastest of the group, having a broken ankle should be a struggle for her that she'll have to overcome in Season 2. While I did say the show has a lot of artificial tension, some of it is genuine, especially in the last 2 episodes. Sneaking past Toro to get on the monorail was good tension because you know that if the kids don't get on the monorail, they won't be able to get on the boat and get off the island. I also did feel tension when Dave and Roxy were out and about looking for the kids because given they're adults, they're fair game. I enjoyed hearing the same music being from the ending of Jurassic Park being played as they're on the monorail getting to know each other. Kenji's comments about something bad always happening is hilarious, especially when you factor in with this franchise, chaos is inevitable. The last episode was basically one big race to reach the boat, and I thought it was bold to have the kids get left behind on the island, because I'm not sure how long you can milk out kids stuck on an island full of dinosaurs without making it unrealistic. I'm also glad that Ben's alive because he was finally getting a character arc in the second to last episode. Despite the character designs looking a bit cartoonish, the CGI is actually pretty good and they're well integrated into the show. However, I do have some issues with some of the dinosaurs. Why did they change Blue's skull shape? Apparently, ILM imported the dinosaur designs for DreamWorks to use, and the skull change is pretty obvious and also completely unnecessary. Another thing, can we please give Echo a consistent color scheme? Besides that, the dinosaurs looked really good, and I did enjoy seeing all the dinosaurs having a variety of different color schemes, especially the bioluminescent Parasaurolophuses. The portrayal of dinosaurs as animals is always great to see. The voice actors did a great job, and the delivery felt natural. The character interactions and reactions to everything were well done and led to some genuinely funny and heartfelt moments.
Clearly this group has no respect for my lab.
In my opinion, the best thing about the show would have to be the world building. The fact that there's a video game based off Isla Sorna is fascinating, and I like how they use some concepts from one of the Jurassic Park 3 scripts in which you have to use the resonating chamber to summon raptors to fight the T-Rex while you escape. I do, however, find it a bit unrealistic that no one else besides Darius figured that out. In real life, someone would have most likely leaked the answer out there, or some professional gamer would have figured it out. But you know what? It's supposed to establish his love and knowledge of dinosaurs, so I'll let it slide. The mention of Isla Sorna does acknowledge that The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 are still canon in the Jurassic Park universe. It also makes perfect sense that there are Jurassic World forums where people can talk about dinosaurs on the internet. The forum looks very similar to Jurassic Outpost, and I really like that nod. Another little bit of detail in episode 4 is that Darius refers to Ellie as Dr. Sadler instead of Degler. We know that Ellie will be going back to having the last name of Sadler in Dominion, so there is a chance that their marriage could have ended before the Jurassic World event in 2015. Now, there is a slight chance that I'm looking too deep into this little bit of detail. We'll probably most likely get our answers in Dominion. I know that I mentioned Manticore, and I'm curious to see what kind of role they'll have in Jurassic World Dominion. The introduction of other genetics companies reminds me of Henry Wu telling Simon Masrani that if he doesn't innovate, somebody else will, and when he expresses his concerns after Eli Mills goes against his wishes and auctions off the Indoraptor. Could this be what Colin Trevorrow was trying to set up in Dominion? Something tells me that Biosyn and Manticore won't be the only companies out there trying to create their own dinosaurs. I'm really hoping that Manticore will be showing up later on in the show. So yeah, those are my thoughts and opinions on the first season of Camp Cretaceous. While it's not the greatest piece of Jurassic Park media, and the Jurassic World movie is still better, it's a fun show that despite being targeted towards kids, is something that adult fans such as myself can enjoy. With Jurassic World Dominion being delayed, I'm sure that Jurassic Park fans will continue to turn to Camp Cretaceous while we wait for the anticipated sequel. Honestly, I'm genuinely intrigued to see what else the show can offer, and I just hope that it can end on a high note. Well, I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts and opinions about the first season of Camp Cretaceous. Thanks for watching.